Another viewer asks, what does in-state and out-of-state tuition mean?
Okay, these are great questions.
Yeah.
I'm very appreciative of them. So, in-state and out-of-state. First of all, that is how a university that is publicly, a public or state university, describes its tuition. Funding for public universities comes from allocations from that state's budget. We go back to the decentralized system of U.S. higher education. There are 50 states in the United States. Every state has a certain number of publicly funded, publicly supported state universities and or community colleges, 2- and 4-year schools, and of course graduate programs as well. They get their money to fund that university from the taxpayer, the U.S. citizen who is a resident of the state, who is paying taxes to that state, who is proving that they are a resident. They have a bank account, some of the things. They have a bank account, they have a permanent address, they have a driver's license, they pay their taxes, they are a resident of that state. When a U.S. citizen is a resident of the state, they can benefit from the in-state tuition because they've made a contribution to that state. They get the benefits of the lower tuition when you prove you're a resident. When an American citizen comes from another state, from Florida to study in Texas, they are not a resident of Texas. They would pay out-of-state tuition. When the student is an international student, they too are not a resident of the state. They're not a resident of the United States. Therefore, they would pay out-of-state tuition. So when the student, are looking at a university that says in-state tuition is this, out-of-state is that, assume that you're going to pay the out-of-state. But the good news about out-of-state is that it still could be less overall tuition than a private university's overall tuition rate. So that's just something. Now, many times universities that offer fellowships or scholarships to graduate students will say, we're going to let you pay in-state tuition as opposed to out-of-state tuition. And that can make a significant difference of at least 50% reduction, and in many states, even more of a reduction. But assume that you are probably going to be out-of-state before you're going to be in-state tuition worthy, because you don't meet the criteria of being a resident of that state because you're not paying taxes, because you're not a U.S. citizen. But overall, it's still less expensive than private.
Thank you.